good news for you folks. I've come to show you a better way to develop desktop applications for the Java virtual machine. Griffon makes simple things easy and hard things possible. And to illustrate this, I want us to consider a sample application. So we just have a simple application that has like an input text field, a button with an event listener, and a text output field. Should be no sweat, right? Well, it wasn't long ago that you had to do something like this in Java. And in Java, you use a lot of things like swing and AWT, and it can be kind of painful. And threading is also very difficult to pull off properly. But anyway, to kind of illustrate what that one looked like, here's the Java code that would make that application. You see we have some, I know you can't see it, but there are several lines to create your components, another few lines for adding the action listener, and then we also have to make sure that we carefully create our swing components inside the EDT. And, you know, with no build management, no application lifecycle management, you know, inconsistent component structure, etc., Java is not the correct tool for this job anymore. So Groovy has come along recently, and it's given us dynamic programming enclosures and made our development a lot simpler. Groovy also has a bunch of swing utilities that make desktop applications much easier to develop. So this is what the Groovy code for the same application would look like. You can see how much simpler it is from the Java example. But what if we have to deal with application structure and deployment for larger applications? This is where Griffon comes in. Griffon combines the power and ease of Groovy with build tools and deployment tools for large-scale applications. Testing and deployment. Griffon is based on Rails, and so you can kind of think of it as equivalent to Rails for desktop. So if you're already familiar with Rails, you'll feel right at home. Griffon takes a convention over configuration approach. Now, if anyone remembers, if they ever had to do struts, it can be a nightmare to basically define every property of every component in a configuration file. This can be nasty. So with Griffon, it takes a convention over configuration approach so that those huge files are no longer necessary. Another thing it takes from Rails is that model view controller pattern is built right in at several layers. And so Griffon basically creates all these classes, these MVC classes, at build time and runtime, and injects configuration via injection. Another great thing that Griffon does for you is allows you to notify different artifacts just with an at-bindable annotation. You just attach it to a model property, and you automatically have this nice observer pattern goodness. Another thing we can gain from Rails is built-in testing. You just run Griffon test app, and you run all your tests. So really, you have no excuse not to keep the bar green. And then Griffon also has a lot of deployment options out of the box. You can run any Griffon application as an applet, web start application, or just standalone. And there are a bunch of packaging options too available via plugins. Speaking of plugins, there are like a super lot of them, like 140 and growing. And oh, I lost a slide. This is what, remember that application? This is what it would look like in Griffon. It's even simpler than Groovy. And we also have the nice build, test, deploy tools from Griffon. No, plugins. 140, right? There's build-time plugins that allow us to do things like easy testing, and runtime add-ons that allow us to do things like use the MIG layout, if any of you are familiar with that. You're not even required to write your artifacts in Groovy. There are plugins to allow you to use Clojure, Erlang, Java, Jython, Scala, and more. And a few other things that you get with plugins are multiple UI toolkit support. So Swing is built in, but there's no reason that you can't use JavaFX or GTK components in your Griffon application. So I know you guys are all super excited about this. So highly recommend that you check out a new book called Griffon in Action by Andres Almaray and Dan O'Farron. It's in Leap right now, but it's scheduled to come out, I think, in June. That's pretty much all I have for you guys. Hit up griffon.codehouse.org or hit me up on Twitter if you have any questions or comments.
In a reverse order, I forgot to introduce you, but Eric, a good friend of both DJUG and DOSA, is always a supporter of our events and a great presenter all around. So thank you for the good.